Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today we are finally taking a look at all of the features and deliverables which had work finish in October. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you guys so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. So each month I usually put together a video that takes a look at all of the work that is kicking off each month but also finishing each month, just to keep us all more informed as to what work is going on in the background. Now, before we get to it, just because a feature on the progress tracker has work beginning or completing in a particular month does not necessarily mean that it will release that quarter, the next quarter, or even in that year, as there could still be more work required from other teams. For example, the downstream teams like audio, visual effects and so on. Or even priorities can shift and it can get pushed back until needed. It is, however, a good guide to see what could potentially come to the persistent universe when, but at the very least, it shows us what work is being done at what time in the year. Now, my apologies in getting this video released. I will also get round to covering November and December's work finishing, plus a bit of a combined video for the work kicking off over the last 3 months of the year, as we are waiting for the roadmap to be extended, so there isn't really enough in them for one video each month. But with that said, let us take a look at all of the work that came to an end in the month of October according to the progress tracker. So first up, we have atmospheric pressure damage, which had 71 weeks work from the EUPU and narrative team. This is the damage that players and NPCs will receive in situations where the exterior pressure exceeds the pressure resistance of the corresponding ship, armor, or suit. So basically, as players or NPCs transition through somewhere like the Crusader planet, for example, their ships or characters' clothing will begin to break up realistically the deeper they go and the more pressure that is applied. Now this, I suspect, will be applicable to any planet that requires it, but also they may use the same tech when we are able to go underwater. So a cool feature that will likely see some action when players are maybe dogfighting around Crusader, utilizing the ship's capabilities to maybe go deeper than your opponent to lose the tail. Now next up we have the fire extinguisher, which, as you can imagine, it's used to put out fires once the fire propagation and hazard system is in the game. Now this system ties heavily into the resource generation network, so having physical components potentially causing fires that will spread realistically through the ship or any environment for that matter, requiring players to extinguish them. Now the fire hazard system seems to have completed its work in September, so it does look like it's just a case of getting the extinguishing mechanic in and then it can start making its way out. Now my guess for this feature specifically, it is being tested and refined in the Squadron 42 branch first, and then will roll out with the resource generation system next year. This fire extinguisher had 39 weeks work from narrative, the weapon content team and weapon feature team, and hopefully it is all done. Now, the Shops and Patrons deliverable is next, and I believe this is being put into 3.18, which states it vastly expands the interactive usables needed for an assortment of shops and patrons, populating dozens of shops with the vendor behaviour that we saw on the bartender, and will include now coffee stands, pizza bars, kiosks, and more. Now, as I say, this was mentioned in the leaked Evocati patch notes for 3.18, which also includes outfits appropriate to the shop, so uniforms. It is great to finally see a more finalised rollout of the bartender behaviour applicable to the other vendors, which may seem like a small thing, but having any vendor physically interact with items that they want to show you, the players, the NPCs, will actually look pretty cool and make the whole shopping experience far more immersive, I guess. Anyway, this feature had 81 weeks work from 7 different teams, so quite a big undertaking, which thankfully should be done by now and working in 3.18. We will see. Now this next feature is quite a big one. It is FPS, radar and scanning, and had 95 weeks work from 8 different teams, and will improve the signature system, supporting much greater distances and dampening of signatures by environmental interference and larger signatures. And one thing they did mention was, for example, decibels, having your actions maybe drowned out by a background noise, like a generator for example. It also says improving scanning driven by the same signature system as the radar and ping, available in ships, ground vehicles and FPS. Now we did get to see a little snippet of this on the CitizenCon event during the partnered development segment with Chris Roberts and Richard Tyra, and this allows for a small ping to kind of give you information about your local area, revealing what is interactable, but also you have the option of a larger ping that on the flip side can reveal your presence and will require a cooldown period, but it will reveal a lot more information about your surrounding area and maybe even point out enemies close by. So quite a big change that will most likely be rolled out next year, not this year, but I cannot wait to see this. It can't come soon enough. Now next up we have the Volt Fresnel, which is one of 4 new weapons in the works from the new manufacturer Volt, which stands for Verified Off-World Laser Technologies, and the Fresnel in particular is an SMG, and had 16 weeks work from the weapon content team, and Volt as a whole have some very unique looking weaponry, which should be an interesting addition to the current FPS weapons available. So finally we have the Squadron 42 specific deliverables that came to a close in October. First up is Chemline, which has had work ongoing and pushed from month to month. So now that we are in December, it does feel quite safe to say that this abandoned extraction facility located on Gainey in the Odin system should be complete now. It had 94 weeks work from 5 different teams, so quite the undertaking, and I would love to see a comparison of it now from when we last saw it during the Vertical Slice playthrough. Talking of which, another location from the Squadron 42 Vertical Slice that should be done now is called the Coil, and this had 96 weeks work from 2 different teams, and this is the electronic phenomenon that exists in the asteroid cluster that closely orbits the Odin system. An impressive location, very unique, that should be quite the sight when we finally get to jump into Squadron. Now the second to last deliverable for Squadron 42 that finished in October is called Enemy Characters, and this says it encompasses all the tasks relating to an enemy faction and their members in the campaign. Not sure who these are, but if I was to completely take a guess, I would say it's likely the OMC gang, as they are a heavily featured faction in Squadron, but it had 81 weeks work from 5 different teams that should all be wrapped up by now. And finally we have the Military Multitool, which is a military variant of the beloved Grey Cat multitool used by the UEE military in Squadron 42. Now this tool had 39 weeks work from the weapon content team, and I have no idea what the differences are, aside from potentially a new skin. So there you go, that is all the work that came to completion on the progress tracker in the month of October. As I say, I will be covering the November and December months as well, so if that sounds like something you would like to watch, please do consider subscribing. Also, come and hang out over at twitch.tv/supermacbrother. You are all more than welcome. We spend a lot of time playing the game, chatting about the game, chatting about its future and about upcoming patches. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a big thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.